Little too bright, maybe. Nah, I don't fucking know. I guess we'll leave it there. What's up, movie addicts? Johnny K. Oh shit, bumping my stuff. Off to a bumpy start, to say the least. Tried doing this stream like 3 or 4 times. Finally getting it up. The third first official launch of the Movie Addiction podcast. This time, Midnight Movie Talk is what we're going to be kicking off with, and hopefully this will actually become a regular thing. No more technical difficulties, although tonight is not setting the bar very high. If we can get it going in one stream tomorrow night or whenever I try to do this again, maybe then I can consider myself an actual podcast. But as for right now, let's give it a shot. Like I said, welcome to the Midnight Movie Talk on the Movie Addiction podcast. Just a couple of things I wanted to go over because I think this week I finally need to start buckling down and trying to pump out some of these podcasts. So I figured I'd start with my movie addiction one. Really want to get this platform off and running to start, so that's what we're doing here, and I'll explain more at the end when I plug myself and try to get some other projects going too. But for today, since I didn't get a stream yesterday, and there hasn't been a whole lot of other news drop as far as announcements or everything like that, today or yesterday. A lot of the stuff came over the weekend. So I figured at the beginning of every week, one of the segments in the podcast would just be breaking down the weekend box office. And so let's just do that today, or do that tonight rather, instead of yesterday, because I didn't do one yesterday. It was a big headline on Sunday, and then Monday too, Shang-Chi's success at the box office. They're calling it the most successful blockbuster of the summer, and I think that's accurate based on, I'm not sure overall box office totals. I know in the world it's not quite up there yet to number one, but this week it is. Sorry, I don't know why my computer's not working here. Worldwide, it's at number 6, so that's pretty good. But as far as most consistent weekends domestically, I think this is the king so far. And so that's a big story. Obviously, it's good to see after the pandemic, and it's great to see for a fresh Marvel property to still have legs like that. I wanted to compare the box office to some previous films that are kind of relative to the circumstances surrounding this film's release, although it's kind of hard to compare because we've never had, besides Black Widow, which is hard to put in the same ballpark because of the whole online streaming situation with that one, where I think they said that more than half of the viewers, I don't have the numbers on that one, but I don't think the box office accurately represents the actual amount of viewers that movie got because of the whole Disney Plus thing, which there's lawsuits about and all this stuff. So we have no other film to compare Shang-Chi to because of just the times we're in. It's incomparable. But we do have other situations we can compare it to. The last standalone Marvel movie to come out in the summer, the last Marvel movie where a character was introduced that wasn't a major team-up film. So I'll break down those, but first, just talking about what it actually did this weekend. And like I said, it's in its 4th week of release, and so this is the box office for this past weekend. I don't remember the dates. 9/25. Yeah, September 25th and September 26th. Here is the weekend box office for that weekend. Shang-Chi's coming in at number 1 for the 4th week in a row. It's the film's 4th week of release, and there hasn't been a whole lot of competition, so not a whole lot of surprise there. Dear Evan Hansen came out in 2nd place. This was its opening weekend. That made $7.4 million. Shang-Chi, by the way, made $13 million. Free Guys coming in at number 3 in its 7th week of release. That one brought in $4.1 million. Candyman, which is in its 5th week of release, brought in another 2.5, and Cry Macho in its 2nd week brought in just $2 million. And so before we get into Shang-Chi, which is what I want to talk about the most because that was the biggest story of the weekend, I'll talk about some of these other films on here, just some interesting points that I saw. I'll start at number 5, I guess. Cry Macho. It is now at 8.2 million for its domestic total, which is fairly impressive, I think, because of the fact. Sorry, I can't talk. That it's Clint Eastwood. I'm not sure what the market for that is, even though everybody knows that name. He's not exactly a draw to the movie theater due to the political environment and just the taste of what fans are into these days. It's not exactly a big draw, is what I'm trying to say. But I'm distracted because I'm trying to read this also. And another thing is that one debuted also on HBO Max without an additional fee. If you have a subscription to HBO Max, you got Cry Macho at the same time that people in the theaters got it. So 2 million in its second week, and I think if I'm looking at these numbers right, that's 8.2 total. In 2 weeks, that's pretty good. I don't know what the film's budget was, but it couldn't have been that much, and so nonetheless, it's impressive. I'm not sure where it was at last weekend, but its second week, it's still in the top 5. I think that's a success. Candyman hanging in there in its 5th week. I actually think they released that one at a pretty good time. With Halloween movies, it's kind of I don't ever understand how they pick when to release these, because you can argue so many different ways as far as release it on Halloween, a week before Halloween, a month before Halloween, in the summer, after Halloween. It's always interesting to me how they decide, but I feel like they picked a good spot for this one. 56.8 million total, 2.5 this weekend in its 5th week. I think this one's going to have some legs on it. I think as long as it's in theaters, people are going to continue to go see it until Halloween. I'm not sure how long the release window is, but until Halloween comes out, Halloween 2 comes out, there's not a whole lot of competition for it as far as horror goes, so it's going to have some legs. It's going to keep making some more money, and they might have been able to make more money off of it had they decided to release it a little closer to Halloween, but I understand that they're kind of nervous about the box office of Halloween 2, so maybe that's why they did it when they did it, and it seems to be working out. I actually haven't seen that movie, and I don't know. The buzz wasn't, awful about it from what I've been hearing, what I've been reading, which isn't a whole lot, but I haven't heard that it was, the worst movie ever or anything like that. But it is a known name, known property, and even though it's a remake, some people still, it's a good date night, and some people still go check it out just because they like horror movies. Free Guy is at number 3 in its 7th week in release, bringing in another 4.1, bringing its total to 114.1, and I'm just ecstatic about that because that is probably in my top 5 so far of the year. I was super excited after seeing that movie. I was super excited for that movie, and then after seeing it, I was very pleasantly surprised. I was expecting to like it. Like I said, I was excited for it, but it blew away all my expectations for it, and I'll talk about that more in depthly on one of these other streams. When there's no news, I'll just go through and give you my current top 10 list for the year, ranking all the movies I've seen, and I'll go more in depth into it then. I will say though, 7th week in release, still in 3rd place, and would be in 2nd if the new release hadn't come out. But this one's got legs. It's pretty much for the next little bit, probably. Actually, this week, Venom's going to come in and mess things up. But for right now, there's not a whole lot of other big blockbuster-style action comedies like this coming out. And everybody loves Ryan Reynolds. Plus, it's got all the property Easter eggs, all the celebrity Easter eggs, cameos, whatnot. So a lot of draw for that movie. Plus, the buzz around it has been awesome. It's a good movie, and I'm not the only one that has that opinion, and word's getting out, and people are going to see it, so I'm glad to see that has legs, and probably will turn into a franchise. I'm not entirely sure, but that would be cool to see. One thing is that it's great to see these movies making money like this, but the thing about this summer is even though we have gotten the return to the theater and everything like this, we haven't had the number of major blockbuster-style releases that we normally would have. So who's to say if this movie came out in 2019 if it would be doing as well or maybe it would be doing better? It's really impossible to tell. I can't really... I can't really imagine either way. So, nonetheless, I'm glad to see the success that it's having. Dear Evan Hansen, the Broadway play turned. God, I keep kicking that fucking thing. Sorry. The Broadway musical turned film, which I heard was garbage, and I actually had no interest in seeing it. I heard it was a great play or musical or whatever it is. Obviously not my cup of tea there, but I heard it was great on the stage, but not a very good movie. Even the people that liked the play wrote pretty bad reviews on it, and that's never a good sign. My main issue with it, the reason why I had no desire to go see it at all, was because I did see the trailer, and that was basically the movie. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could tell you exactly what happened in the movie just from having watched the trailer. I think it was actually in front of Free Guy. One of the movies I saw about a month or two ago actually had this trailer attached to it. And the other thing, there's a couple things. One, the movie probably wasn't very good. That's what people are saying. I can't particularly judge it. But the other thing is, it's based on a play or whatever, and not an original premise, not a big blockbuster, no big stars, and unless you're into these kind of dramatic films, it didn't really look intriguing. It's not something I would check out unless it was like on cable or maybe in the Redbox I'd pick it up. But right now, people, because everybody's broke or because you're scared of getting sick or whatever the reason, people are really putting some thought into before they go to see a movie in the theater. And so you have to market your movies in a very particular way to make it intriguing enough, make the film look awesome, but also not give away the whole thing or make it look uninteresting, which I think this trailer did both. First of all, I know exactly what's going to happen. Second of all, it's not really a movie I'd go to see in the first place. And, it seemed like a sad premise. It reminded me of World's Greatest Dad just from the trailers, and I wouldn't spend my money to go to see that, and I think a lot of people probably felt the same way. And then the big story, we'll get back to Shang-Chi, another movie I was pleasantly surprised by, although I was expecting it to be great because I'm a fanboy of all that shit, so I had pretty high expectations, and it lived up to them, and it was a great return to the classic Marvel style. Obviously, we had Black Widow, but this is a new story. Continuing on the timeline here post Endgame, so not a flashback or something, a prequel style movie. This one was the first new installment since Endgame, because we've had Spider-Man Far From Home and now we've had Black Widow, but those are of existing characters, and Black Widow didn't even take place after Endgame, so this was the big kickoff return into phase 5, 4, whatever we're in right now. Technically, like I said, it was Far From Home, but it's been so long that people have forgotten because there was no movies last year. But so I just wanted to compare it. I think it's doing very well, and it's actually interesting. So I'll compare it to, first I'll start by giving its opening weekend details. It opened at $75.3 million in first place. There was no new films coming out that weekend, at least no major big films, so it's not a surprise that it took a number one. But that haul is actually pretty good, not even just for a pandemic. But here's some of the previous movies. For example, Doctor Strange, which was the last time Marvel introduced a new character that wasn't in a team-up movie, came out. It wasn't a summer movie, but it's still comparable because of the premise. It came out in 2016, and I know that's been years, but you got to take like 2 years out, so... Technically, it's only been a couple years, if you ask me. That opened to 85, so only about 10 more than this one did. So that's right on par. I think that's right where a Marvel movie needs to be. Ant-Man and the Wasp was the last one, the last late summer movie, I think. Why did I choose this one? There was a reason why I pulled this one up for my notes. But anyways, this one opened to 75, same thing. So just a little bit less. Actually, no, right on par with what Shang-Chi did. A little bit less than Doctor Strange. Spider-Man Far From Home opened in 2019. Okay, so the reason why I pulled up Ant-Man and the Wasp is because that one was before Endgame. So obviously Far From Home is going to make more money because it's coming off the most successful movie of all time. That one opened in 92, but in its fourth week it had already dropped down to third place to 12 million. So right around where Shang-Chi is at now, Shang-Chi pulled 13 million this week. It's a little different because back then it was opening not against, but it was in theaters against Toy Story 4, and then by the time it got to its fourth week, The Lion King had come out, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had come out, and Toy Story 4 was still out, kicking around in the top 5, so it had a more competitive time there. That was Far From Home. But what it made it its fourth week, and obviously the overall totals are going to be more, but when we're talking about just a fourth week, and the drops and whatnot, Shang-Chi is right where it needs to be. It's not exceeding like it might be if times weren't so tricky right now. But I think Disney Plus, by having all their Marvel content that has come out that keeps people interested, people are still going to come back to, get back to the theater to see where the universe is heading. So it's very, very interesting. In the fourth week for Ant-Man and the Wasp, it had dropped down to 8.7 million, so Shang-Chi's still doing better than that, or Shang-Chi, sorry, I always say it wrong. Doctor Strange had dropped down to only 19 million. That is also at a different time that, it wasn't a summer release, so there's different circumstances for all of them, but I think this is good for Shang-Chi. Obviously, it is great. It'll be interesting to see where this whole thing goes moving forward, but it's solidified itself. Probably, I think it's going to be in the top 10 for the year because we're going to keep making money. They're going to keep making money off this thing for the next month or so, probably. So, worldwide, we'll probably get another 100 million. So this is where it's at so far is 196 domestic and then 363 million worldwide, which puts it at sixth place. The number one is a foreign film that hasn't even debuted here called Hi Mom. That one's at 822. It's so weird to look at yearly box office and not see yearly worldwide box office and see no billion-dollar films. That's the way it's been for the past 2 years. Number 2, F9 at 716 million. Detective Chinatown 3, another one that hasn't even opened here, 686 million. That's very odd. 2 of the top 3 films aren't U.S. releases. That shows you the craziness of what we're living in right now. Godzilla vs. Kong is number 4 at 467. Black Widow, 378. And Shang-Chi, 363. Those are the top 5, followed by Free Guy, Quiet Place 2, Cruella, and Jungle Cruise. Shang-Chi is definitely going to beat out Black Widow, and there's only a handful of blockbusters that's going to come out for the remainder of the year. We got Venom, No Time to Die, Ghostbusters, Halloween, Spider-Man, a few others. Spider-Man's definitely going to blow it out of the water. So is Halloween, I think. That's just me being wishful. I don't actually know what kind of legs that film's going to have, but I'm super excited about it. Back to the whole, just because I just saw Ghostbusters on here, I wanted to throw that in when I was talking about Candyman. I was surprised they didn't wait, or that they waited till after Halloween to release. That was probably because of Halloween 2 coming out. I'm not entirely sure. I'm curious to see what the box office on that is going to look like because a lot of people hated the last Ghostbusters, but this one's got Paul Rudd, who nobody hates. It is a well-known franchise. The trailers looked awesome. So I feel like they'd probably be able to squeeze more money out of it if they put it before Halloween. But they didn't, so we'll see what happens there. That's just interesting. I can't wait for that movie. All right, so next thing to move on to, I guess I'll go on for about another 10 minutes here. Like I said, this is just a quick one. I'm trying to get back into the groove of things as far as podcasting and stuff goes. Netflix held their first annual fan event called TUDUM, and it's spelled TUDUM. And ever since they announced it, I never really read a whole lot about it. I knew it was going to be a fan event, a virtual thing. They were going to release footage and announcements for all their properties and upcoming things, and I just assumed that stood for something, TUDUM, but it doesn't. It's TUDUM, like what happens when the Netflix logo pops up on your TV. That's actually pretty hilarious, but I don't know why it's in all caps. Maybe because that's how people hear it, is like shouting "ta-dum." But anyways, there wasn't a whole lot that excited me as far as the movie goes. Obviously, I'm stoked on Tiger King 2 and a couple of the other TV properties. Kanye doc looked good. But I'm not big on these virtual events anyways. You may know my other channel, the one that, came before this one, Concert Addiction. Concerts are my other main passion. And I had no interest in going to see any of those drive-in concerts that were happening last year, where it'd be one thing if the band was there playing, but it's not. They recorded a concert, and then they're shooting it at a drive-in movie, and they expect you to pay $70 per car. And a lot of people did. I mean, the Metallica one sold out nationwide. But any of those virtual-type experiences, I've never really had a whole lot of intrigue. Maybe if I was actually, like, it's always something I want to be there live. I don't care to watch a virtual Zoom interview with somebody or a presentation. I'll wait for the clip to come out. The same thing that they do in Hall H. If I was in person in Hall H, obviously I'd be super excited about it. But people for years have talked about how they should have a pay-per-view for Comic-Con, and I don't think I'd have any interest in watching that, just because I'll wait for the clips to come out. That's all I really care about unless I'm there in person. But we got some new footage from Red Notice. Big announcement was Chris Hemsworth is returning for Extraction 2. Apparently, I didn't see that film, but apparently there was question his character died or not in the first one. So I think they released a clip from that and then announced he was coming back. Red Notice, it was like a 3-minute fight scene. That movie's obviously going to be awesome. If that one was going into theaters, that would be another blockbuster just because of who's in it. The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, Army of Thieves, or Jesus Christ, I'm just reading. The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot are obviously some of the biggest stars, and it looks funny. It looks, looks awesome. So people are going to watch that one for sure. And the clip was nice, but it was just a clip. Nothing crazy. One clip that I was super excited about seeing, it was just a short little thing, but it really set the tone for the movie, is Adam McKay's Don't Look Up. This is probably, besides Spider-Man, so I've got some, I don't know what the word for it is. Some things that I'm obviously excited for. I wouldn't call them guilty pleasures, but my anticipation is higher than it might be for the typical film fan. Ghostbusters and Halloween, I am super stoked on. But besides those three, Spider-Man, Ghostbusters, Halloween, and Venom, all the classic comic book things, Don't Look Up is what probably the movie I'm most excited for, just because I love Adam McKay and the cast looks awesome. And the clip was, just a comedic clip that showed the tone that this film's going to have. And I've loved the turn that Adam McKay has made recently, where he's going from doing straight-up comedies to comedies that are... This one's not based on a real event, but it's based on something that could be real, it seems like. So there's a bit of a dramatic undertone to it. But it's definitely going to be a comedy, and it's got everybody in it. I'm excited to see Matthew Perry. It'll be interesting to see how they use him. But Leo, Jennifer Lawrence, Rob Morgan, Jonah Hill, Tyler Perry, Ron Perlman, Ariana Grande, Meryl Streep, Matthew Perry, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis. Yeah, the cast is stacked, and this clip included Leo and Jennifer Lawrence. They were like scientists trying to tell Meryl Streep, who's the president, and Jonah Hill, who's her chief of staff or something, that the world's going to end. And they're just kind of blowing them off. They don't really care. And so, yeah, that movie looks awesome. Definitely got me excited for it. Yeah, not much to say. I wasn't super stoked on TUDUM. Like I said, I didn't watch any of the live stream. But if this becomes like a fan event, like D23 or Comic-Con. They do it in New Mexico. That would be cool. Do it every year. I'm sure they got some stadiums down there they could use, or some convention centers. I would definitely be interested in going to see that live, but these live stream things aren't for me. And this year we didn't even get any kind of crazy cool announcements or anything like that. So yeah, there's that. Last thing I wanted to touch on was Venom Day was yesterday. Venom comes out this Thursday, and they had a whole day. It was mostly on social media. I don't think there was any physical events. I know a lot of the preview screenings happened last night, so maybe that's what it was. I don't know if they had a red carpet or whatever, but it was a great promotional tool. Like I said, it was mostly on social media. It was called Venom Day. They released a bunch of clips, some featurettes with Andy Serkis, the director, and I'm super stoked about that. I was a big fan of him doing motion capture. My favorite trilogy is the new Apes movies, and so I was interested to see him step behind the camera, but I missed Mowgli, as I didn't look good to me. And then he made one other movie that I didn't see. But I'm a big fan of his, and watching him talk in those featurettes was really cool. Looking forward to see him direct this movie. I'm running out of steam. Good, I'm going to wrap it up here. But yeah, it was a social media campaign. They released some clips, and they released a Snapchat filter and other things like this. But one of my favorite things that they did, which was a great marketing tool that kept it trending all day, was on Twitter, you could have Venom roast you. You tweeted to Venom, and then he would tweet you back with a roast. And obviously, they don't want to get kicked off Twitter, and it's only a PG-13 movie anyways, so they can't go super crazy with it. But they probably won't, because they don't want to seem like they're copying. But I really wish that Deadpool would have done this first, because those would be some of the greatest roasts. But, I mean, it was pretty funny. And like I said, they had people sitting there all day responding to everybody that tweeted at Venom to get roasted. And, there were some pretty funny ones. Here's someone posted a picture of a corgi. Venom wrote, "Loaves of bread tend to be toasted, not roasted." Okay, my bald ass is ready to get roasted. Oh, good. We wanted to play pool, but we're missing a cute ball. We're missing a cue ball. Jesus. Venom, roast me. I just had a birthday. I deserve it. With a picture, and it says, "Is that a self-portrait? It's time to see a dentist." Just goofy shit like that. But it got people more excited for this movie, and which I think a lot of people are already excited for this movie. The only people that wouldn't be over the moon excited, if you were a casual fan, I think you're excited about it. But if you're a movie buff, then you might be a little nervous just because of all the bumps that keep happening. So this was a good way to bring the interest back. And they always give, iffy reasons on why a movie gets bumped and bumped and bumped. And a lot of times it's because the movie ends up sucking. But the initial buzz came out today, and the reviews are good. So I'm super hyped about it. Cannot wait to see Woody Harrelson. And Tom Hardy is by far the best one of these guys that's gotten to play two big superhero characters. So, yeah, super stoked about it. I'll make another... After I see it, I don't know if I'll do a live stream that night or the next night, but I'll definitely get on and talk about it because I cannot wait. That'll do it for me tonight. Thanks for watching and listening. What day is it? It's the 29th now. Wow, I went the full half hour. Not really, because I started a couple minutes late. But yeah, Midnight Movie Talk on the Movie Addiction Podcast. Thanks for checking it out. The first one, real clunky. I can tell this did not feel like it went smooth at all, but thanks everybody for hanging in there and watching. If you got all the way through to the end, I appreciate it. I will try to, get smoother as I get back into the groove of doing this podcast thing. I have not done it in a while. That being said, the Movie Addiction Podcast and the Concert Addiction Podcast are returning along with my nightly radio show, which I have been doing, Johnny K Radio. Make sure to check all those things out. And there's some links in the description if you want to support me or check out some of my other stuff. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye.